Dun dun dun. All right. It's Tuesday night. Let's make sure we got everything set up here correctly. I look to be all good. Here comes the screen. You guys can hear me. I can see me at least. So let's see if we here we go. Joe Cook says 5 by 5. At least one person can hear me. Adam, Nostradamus, Douglas, Circe, Grandma's Homemade, Healthy Disrespect. All right, so everybody's saying 5 by 5. Howard's there, Jay Harrison, Toto, Scott McHugh. Cool. All right, happy Tuesday, guys. Hope everybody's enjoying this week. It's been a little bit cool here, which is that time of year. It's kind of funny. I had to go to the post office this morning, and it's about 8:30. I guess I went. Want to give them time to put stuff in the mailbox. And I have to turn the heat on in the truck, go over to the post office. And of course, this afternoon, it's like come inside after Mrs. P and I are out working all day. It was like crazy hot. It's like getting near the air conditioning. But it's not like we haven't all dealt with spring and fall before. But wanted to say this in regards to going to the post office. Thank you, thank you, thank you to all of you guys that sent me birthday cards. That was really nice of you. There's still another one came in the mail today. So I thank you for all of that. It's not that you celebrate birthdays anymore to speak of when we get to be our age, but it's still nice that somebody remembered you. So thank you guys for doing that. That was really sweet of all of you. So appreciate that. As for working, as I told you guys lately, Mrs. P and I have been working on a basic complete remodel of our backyard because it's taken us, well, here, this is what our sixth year here. And finally had the yard usable, but now taking out all these trees. So today we were moving one of the gardens, or basically getting rid of our strawberry patch where it was, because we're going to move that. And so it was pulling all that stuff out, taking all the rocks that we had used to line that, moving all that. So that was the fun part today. So yeah, my back is kind of feeling it a little bit after 4 hours of lifting boulders today, but it is what it is. So yeah, you get the work done and go, and it's a lot easier to do when it's 74 degrees than when it's 94 degrees. But we were still wiped out by the time we got back in. It was like, okay, cook dinner, eat dinner, set up the live stream, and here we are. So yeah, anybody that says you don't work when you're in retirement is wrong. You just have different work that you do. So that was the excitement around here. I wanted to pose something to you guys, and just a question. Y'all probably are feeling the same thing I am. Mrs. P and I were talking about this and plenty of times we were lifting rocks today. Anybody else see the world is just in complete chaos? I mean, today, this morning, you had stories about Israel bombing Qatar. Okay. You've got the Brits finally finding a backbone and starting to stand up against the Muslim invasion. You've got everything going on in the US. I mean, you have gang members in Chicago. I think I was talking about this morning, saying, yeah, come on, we can take out the National Guard. Good luck. You know, your little Glock switch ain't going to do squat. All the protests about deporting illegals, you start to look at it and go, gee, 100 years ago, there weren't airplanes. If you wanted to go from Europe to the United States, you were getting on the Titanic or something, a ship, and taking the weeks-long journey across the Atlantic. And then we had airplanes, and that made the world a little smaller. Now people can travel, and I've been all over the world, so it's not like I haven't benefited from it. And then, what, 30 years ago? Yeah, about 30 years ago, we got the internet, and that made the world a tiny place. And now everybody suddenly can find out anything and everything they want. And you start looking at this and going, was any of this stuff good? Because you go back 100 years ago, and I'm not talking about wars or anything like that, because God knows, you still had European wars. We had World War One, 100 and what, 5, 7 years ago, thereabouts. But the French were the French. The French were French. The Brits were British. You know, Mexicans were Mexican. And now everybody seems to want to go somewhere else. And they don't want to go somewhere else to be French or be English or be Mexican or be American. They want to go somewhere and convert that area to what they left. You got this Islamic revolution in Great Britain. They want to turn England into an Islamic country. You've got the gangbangers in the United States wanting to turn the US into some African nightmare. It doesn't matter. It's like, why? And you start looking at some of these countries that are homogenous, that have refused all of this. Poland, good example. Poland says we're not taking any of these North African immigrants or anything. Crime is low, the cities are clean, and everybody speaks Polish. You look at Japan, and with the exception of this one guy who just resigned yesterday, Japan is very homogenous Japanese. I never had the luxury of being stationed in Japan, but I know people who have. And it's very different for a white skinned person, a black skinned person to go to Japan. You're different. And where everybody is talked about over and over and over again that diversity's good, I'll come out and say right here. Diversity's a disaster because people don't have the same moral compass, the same system of beliefs, anything of the sort. The earth is a big place. We can all live here in peace, and everybody just kind of needs to be where they are. Call me racist if you want for saying that. I don't care anymore. It's just one of those things where if you want to be civilized, I'm fine with you. Again, you know me, it's the content of your character, not the color of your skin. But the people that are screaming the loudest, that are trying to take over, that are trying to change these countries, aren't thinking civilized. They're ruthless animals, like the guy in North Carolina, or like you can't open up the news without one of the first three stories seeing about some migrant somewhere that's raped some 9-year-old or something. It just doesn't work. If it works in their society, you want to marry a 7-year-old, fine, you do it there. You don't bring that shit here. And what I see happening from all of that is eventually it's going to come to a head. Eventually, the wrong person is going to get hurt. And I said to Mrs. P yesterday, with all these gangbangers running their mouth in Chicago, God help them if they shoot one National Guardsman, because then you are going to unleash the holy hell of the U.S. military on the city. And that's on the point where the orders are going to be given to stack them deep and sell them cheap. You know, just it doesn't matter. You know, when the military starts putting in orders for body bags, that's when we know we're going to start taking our country back. When all of a sudden Joe Abbott is going, Martha, you know anybody who's got a backhoe? That's when we're going to take our country back, because the animals that are overrunning civilized society need to be eradicated. I'm sorry. I'm a firm believer in capital punishment. None of this 30 years on death row shit. Okay. We got you on film stabbing a girl in the neck 3 times on the train. You're guilty. Out of the courtroom, out to the gallows, and that's it. Done. Kind of like how they did it, the Nuremberg trials. They were found guilty. They were executed right there on the spot. None of this, you get to go sit in jail for 30 years playing video games and eating food and doing all this sort of stuff. No, I'm done paying for that shit. You talk about all these socialists, Zoran Mamdani, AOC, Bernie Sanders, Jasmine Crockett, Ilhan Omar, you know, that are doing whatever they can to change the country. And as I told you in the video, that something like 2/3 of Democrats now support socialism. They're in for a rude awakening when they realize that the 80% of conservatives that don't support socialism, who happen to own most of the businesses, employ, or that's the polit- political persuasion of the employees. We all say, you want to go socialist? Go ahead. We ain't paying for it. And when they go, you have to give us money. Or what? And I say this all the time. You guys have heard me say it many times. They think we're going to make a law and everybody's just going to follow them. No, you have to be able to enforce a law. And if you can't enforce it, it gets ignored. And you try to shove socialism down the throats of at least Americans. I can't speak for the Brits or the French or the Germans because they seem to want it. Okay, the Canadians have already fallen. Americans aren't going to put up with it. You want socialism? Good luck. Because everybody says you can vote your way into communism. You got to shoot your way out. I hate to tell the socialists this. You're going to have to shoot your way in because the rest of us ain't putting up with it. Here you go. How about that for a way to start the channel? Let me get you guys in a good mood to start. All right, so let's get into some Q&A. As per normal, if you've got questions for me, please put them in all caps. You guys hear me say this 232 times now, not Tuesday night. Just makes it easier for me to find it. A lot of you guys are already putting stuff in caps. I see it. Only rule on the channel. It's always been one. It always will be one. Treat everybody in here with respect. I am totally fine if somebody's opinion differs from mine. I'm assuming that there's probably a lot of people that disagree with my soliloquy there. Okay. Which is fine. You disagree with me all you want. You started off, you're an asshole. You don't get the chance to state your case. You have a civilized conversation about it. I'll listen to you. You get rude about it to me or to anybody in here or in the comments under a video, you're gone. You never come back. Don't like it. Don't care. So there we go. All right. Let us get up to as close to the top as I can and see what's on y'all's mind. And God knows what we'll do. Robert says hat night. No, it's hat night because I was out working till 6 o'clock and I didn't get a chance to shower afterwards, and my hair looks like a bird nest. So that's it. So rather than anything else, I can run a brush through the beard real quick and it looks fine. But my hair looks like a train wreck. So. All right. Where we are. KRFJR says happy birthday. Thank you. Yep, that was last week, but I appreciate that. Okay. Vicky, I figured I was going to hear from you on this. How are my chestnut trees bearing? I don't know if they're going to this year. Usually by now I can see big green balls in the trees. Uh, I don't see them. I haven't really looked. It's still too early for any of the chestnuts to be falling from the trees. But as I had mentioned to you guys before, with the cicadas this year and how they lay their eggs in the new growth, it basically devastated my fruit crop, my fruit trees. Uh, so you know that was we what we've got good this year in fruits. Mrs. P is picking figs like it's going out of style, and my muscadines are. I mean, I'll probably get 10 gallons of muscadines easy this year. Those were fine, but again, different type. Those the figs are a bush and the muscadines are a vine, so they got left alone. But I mean, any of you guys seen like these dead tips on trees? That's all from cicadas, and we saw it here like crazy. I mean, as I told you guys when we had them here, it was like the movie The Birds. You looked outside and it was just you were going like this to get them out of your face. So it was insane. So yeah, I can't say yay or nay on them yet. All right, rolling on down. Denise Harris just walked in the door. Hello, family and friends, rewatch crew. Well, you're here for the live one this time. You're not part of the rewatch crew tonight, so welcome to you there. Paula McGuire, is it too late to plant cabbage in Northeast Tennessee? We talked about this last week, and as I said, if you're planting cabbage that is short maturity cabbage, you know, 60 days, you might be able to get with it. I mean, because now at this point, we kind of look at a crapshoot on weather because Northeast Tennessee, I'm assuming you are the same as me, Zone 6B, Zone 7A, because I'm pretty much Northeast Tennessee. You just might be closer out toward Johnson City or Bristol or something like that. Uh, Even a short maturity cabbage is usually 62, 65 days. All right, you look at that, that's a little bit more than 2 months. So now you're going, it's September. 2 months from today is what? About November 10th, November 9th, whatever today is. You know, so our first frost date is around Halloween here. Cabbage can make it to about, depending on the variety, 24 to 26 degrees above zero. It'll take a light frost. You could try it, but at this point, it's a crapshoot. If we get an early freeze, you're done. Okay. If you have one of those where it's still 70 degrees on Thanksgiving, you're golden. You want to go plant a dozen cabbage? Fine. It's going to cost you a dozen seeds. You try it. Maybe you get it. Maybe you don't. Uh, but if you're going to do it, it's pretty much got to be now. All right. Kathleen Maddox, chaos. It's crazy. Yeah, I agree. And you heard my opinion on it. Jason KMA, I retired Friday. Congratulations. Now I'm a Democrat. No, you're not. No job and live off the government. Uh, yeah, okay, that's a little different. Living off of Social Security is not living off the government. That's getting back the money that you gave them for 40 some odd years. That ain't living off the government. That's living off of what the government didn't piss away that you gave them. I mean, that video a couple of years ago, I think when I went through it, I had figured out by my Social Security statement. And when I turn 62, if I want to collect Social Security, I'll get like $1,700 a month. Okay, if I want to wait till 65, I get like 2,000 or something. And I did all these numbers in that video. You know how when you get your Social Security statement, you look at it'll tell you how much you made for each year and how much you put in the Social Security, and then going way back, they consolidate it. Okay, it's like for me, it's from like 1980 to 1994 or something like that. They consolidate that into one. And okay, that was back in my days of delivering newspapers. That was the army. That was, I graduated in '84, so high school. And so you start looking at it going, okay, this is what I was doing when I was a kid. You're not paying a whole lot in Social Security. But I went and did an exercise and compounded everything and said if they would have put my money into something that generated 5% interest, which 30-year treasury bonds would have easily covered that. Okay. When I turned 62, I would have about $1.5 million in Social Security. What they would have to pay me to equivalate that, I can't live that long. So, yeah, anybody that says, "Oh, gee, Social Security, thank God we have it." No, Social Security is one of the biggest scams the government has ever pulled on us, and we were forced to do it. But when you say live off the government, no, you're not. You're living off of what they didn't piss away. Uh, Farm Ranch Homestead, it's not retirement, it's a second or third career. Ain't that the truth? The only nice part about it is now you have a little bit more time to do it. You know, though you slow down a little bit as you get old. My body keeps telling me that I'm, pushing 60 when my mind keeps telling me I'm 30. It's like all of a sudden I move a little slow, but still getting everything done. No problem there. Next, something big is coming, but I don't know what. Uh, I'll give you this. Uh, I still have friends all over the place, okay, uh, in many interesting places. One of my friends works in the Pentagon, and I talk to him, chat with him, a couple of times a week. Usually, we're talking about investments and stuff like that. But he's a data analyst in the Pentagon. And last week, he told me, and again today, he's been in meetings like crazy. Something big is happening, but he can't tell me what. And I just asked him, I said, would it have anything to do with the pizza meter? And he just sent me back a smiley face. If you don't know what the pizza meter is, the pizza meter is it started as a joke, if you will, but they've been doing this since the 70s. And what it is they monitor the amount of orders to pizza restaurants around the Pentagon. And when something big is about to happen, the pizza orders go up. Now, and in the 70s, you couldn't monitor this on the internet. Now you can. And if you go look at it, you will see that lately there have been some exceptionally busy times at 11 o'clock in the morning, at 9 o'clock at night, way busier than normal. What's going on? So, so yeah, something big is coming. Your spidey sense is correct from that piece of information that I have. But I mean, I feel exactly the same way, but that was a little bit of confirmation. Take it however you want to take it. Roy Venator. I'm ready to purchase a solar power generator. Which one would you buy? Okay. That the Afery P310, the Opes Mega 3, or a Percon E3600 LFP. Okay, I don't know anything about the Percon, so I can't say that at all. Do I have any discount codes? Thank you, everyone. All right, so first off, I can't answer your question in regards to whether you want the P310 or the Opus because, and like I said, I can't say anything about the other one because I've never heard of it because it depends on what you want to do with it. All right. And I've said this over and over and over again is you need to look at these things, go, all right, what am I trying to run? Am I trying to run a refrigerator? How long am I going to run? How long does it take to recharge? What's the input I have? Okay. Are you putting up rigid panels on the roof? Or are you doing it with portable panels? How are you? There's so many variables that you have to figure out. And then, of course, the last one comes in, that's price. Okay. Uh, I can't answer that. You need to go in and look at the label and say, I want to run my refrigerator. Okay, my refrigerator has 700 running watts. Okay, but a refrigerator will cycle on and off, just like a freezer will. If you want to run your coffee pot, okay, coffee pot's going to take 1500 watts. You want to run your microwave, that's going to take 1100 watts. You want to put this on the kitchen counter so you can, run your refrigerator, make coffee in the morning, and heat up your Jimmy Dean sausage in the microwave. You ain't doing that all at the same time. You'll open generators. So you need to figure those things out and then look at what the output capacity is of the generator to see if it can handle what you want to do. It's not like, oh, I found this little generator. It's $199. I'm going to hook up my window AC unit to it. Good luck. It's not going to work. Okay, that's the thing. You need to do some research on them yourselves. See what fits the budget. You know how they. Like I said, speed of charge. There's some of them that'll charge in those sizes in just over an hour. There's other ones that take 2.5 hours to charge. Okay. You live in Seattle, I'm probably want to get the one that charges on shorter time frame because how much sun do you get? Now we're coming into winter, and Mrs. P was saying tonight, I joked with you guys before. I mean, here we started what 15, 20 minutes ago. It's pitch black outside. And 2 months ago, we finished the live stream at 9 o'clock and it was just dusk. So we're getting into those shorter days, which means you have time to generate the sun. Less time you have sunlight to repower, recharge your generators. You got to think about that too. So I can't answer that for you. As for discount codes, the discount codes that you guys see are when I put them up underneath the video. I will mention to you, hey, there's a sale going on, or hey, here's a review. They usually last either a couple of days, maybe a week. I try to get the details from the companies as to how long the sales are running. But right now, I mean, we haven't done a review or anything like that in a couple of weeks. I haven't heard anything from any of the companies that they've got anything going on, which doesn't surprise me because what you've got now, remember, we're in the 12th month of the fiscal year for most companies. So they don't have advertising budget. And you guys go, well, what is advertising budget? No, they're not paying me. But when we have a giveaway, that's got to come out of their advertising budget. So companies are waiting for the 1st of October to get their new advertising budget. Then we'll get into Black Friday sales. Then we'll get into Prime Day sales, that sort of stuff. So yeah, we'll probably see a lot more, but it's not going to be for, I'd say, 4 to 6 weeks before we really start seeing anything again. So, all right. Linda Friesen, I quit listening midway to a couple of programs today because it was getting so heavy. And I know sometimes my videos will get that way too. And I try at least every once in a while to give you guys something that's a good news video or something that's motivational or something just to break the monotony because I'm right there with you because imagine for me to make the content that I make, I've got to go read all of this and watch these videos and do all this research and go, okay, what's going on? And there are some days where I'm sitting here going, I don't talk about this. This is just, I can't do it mentally, that it's just, it wears on you. I totally get that what you're saying, Linda, that it wears on you. It, you're not alone. Just know that everybody else who's watching this, has gone through the same thing, and every content creator who does what we do is we feel for you because we're there too, and we'll do our best to get out the information that we think you need to know, but it's draining, no doubt. Blessed in Tennessee. Yes, total chaos. I was talking to a friend about it today. Yeah. I think a lot of us are having those conversations a little more often. Uh, Urfel EA, is the National Guard armed during the city cleanups? That I'm not sure of. Okay. Uh, I know, like in Washington, D.C., when they went through and did this, the National Guard did not have arrest authorization, but they had detention authorization. So if they caught somebody on the street, they could hold him, call PD, and PD could come and arrest the person. I've got to think, see, this is where it gets interesting because a lot of times when you have the military doing something, they may be walking around with an M4, an M16, whatever, they've been issued, but there's no magazine in it. And maybe they have a magazine on them, if they're given the order to lock and load, maybe they can't. I don't know. But I will say this, don't ever confront a military person when you look at it and go, he doesn't have a magazine in there. He can't do anything with that rifle. Oh, you'd be sadly mistaken. That would be a deadly mistake. And those of you guys that are ex-military in here, you remember some of the moves you were taught in bayonet training that you don't even need to have the bayonet on there for. So, yeah, don't think that they're just going to sit back and relax while some teenager gets up in their face and goes, ha ha ha, you can't do anything to me. That's when you find the kid laying on the ground with blood coming out of both of his ears. Uh, what their orders are, how far they're allowed to go, that I can't say, and whether or not they are armed is one thing. Whether they have live ammo is also another thing that I can't answer. Uh, Broke Stacker. Okay, here's a question. Wow, that's going to be tough. This is what I like, where we just completely take a total left turn. If you have to choose the Who, the Stones, the Beatles, the Led Zeppelin, uh, the only one I have ever seen in concert was the Who, and this was when I was in high school, so this was probably 82 or 83. Uh, Obviously, by the time I was old enough to appreciate music, the Beatles had disbanded. Uh, Believe it or not, I've never been a fan of Led Zeppelin. I like some of Robert Plant's solo stuff. I respect the musical talent that they have, no question. Don't you know? I'm never going to say Jimmy Page isn't a good guitarist, anything like that. Their sound just wasn't mine. I wasn't a big fan. Okay. Uh, the Stones, yeah, I could take them or leave them. I mean, I have of all those bands on my playlist, I have one song, and it's the Immigrant Song by Led Zeppelin because Mrs. P likes it. I have no Who, no Stones, no Beatles on my playlist. If I had to pick one for, I'll give it to the Beatles, I guess. That because there were some more fun songs. The Who had a couple. The Stones have some songs. I mean, I grew up with this stuff. Uh, but like I said, none of them are anybody that I'm like, oh my god, great song, turn it up. No, it's like okay, whatever, moving on. Good question. Oh, wait a. This is what I was talking about. Every once in a while, get off the heavy stuff and just go something light. That works. Circe, diversity is less common with one another. Unity is common threads, not racist. Agree. Okay. Nothing else I can really say about that. Patrick King. Do I think good people are being drawn to good people and bad people being drawn to bad people? Feels like sides are being drawn. I do. Uh, where you get, I think that is human nature. Okay. But then you have the outside influences on them too. And that could be the way kids are raised. Uh, that could be, you could go into the nature versus nurture deal on this one. Were you raised in a single parent household or did you have a nuclear family? That could have something to do. You look at these again, we'll go to the gangbangers and stuff. The pressure that they face to join the gang, uh, that they have to. I mean, I saw a story that there was this happened years ago apparently, but I ran across it today about some 9-year-old kid or whatever that didn't want to join a gang. And so all the other neighborhood kids threw them in a trash can and set it on fire. You get those sorts of situations. It depends. I mean, there's a whole lot of reasons that people can be drawn to one side or the other. I mean, there are some people that are just inherently bad. Okay. I mean, they were just a rotten apple from the second they were born. I'm not going to say that's everybody who's a bad person. A lot of them it's because of circumstances. Some of them could be because of the way they grew up. Some of them could be for financial reasons. Some of them are just flat out lazy. Uh, the influences they have. But eventually, yes, people wind up flocking to either the good or the bad. It's the ones in the middle that everybody's going after, and those people are like, which way do I want to go? Do I want to study hard in school and get out of this ghetto, or do I just want to go and hang out with my buddies on the street corner shooting at people and selling drugs? And it's the ones in the middle that everybody fights. Uh Barry Payne, anybody get a census request? I haven't seen anything. Uh, that's I'd love to see it. I'd love for them to do a new census and only count citizens. Uh, but again, good luck with that. All the conversations about there was no voter fraud, right? I don't know if you guys saw the story the other day. I forget what state it was. But a woman who had registered her dog to vote and the dogs successfully voted. And I think it was 2020. The dog's vote ballot was rejected in 2024. The dog is now dead, but the dog is still on the voter rolls, even though they know it's a dog. But there's no voter fraud, and the woman's been charged with felonies. So, Scott McHugh, pinball. One of my old bosses says I have boxcar balls. You, my friend, are the whole train. Okay. I'm like, what the hell is this question? All right, now I get I'm like, what are boxcar balls? Now I get what you're saying. All right. I'm gonna take that as a compliment, I hope. So James Galbraith, in an emergency here on the farm, go take care of your emergency. I'm sorry if the sink is dripping. That's more important than watching a live stream. Okay. Yeah, no problem. Okay, Adam said he got his questions answered. Let's see, where are we going? Do. Kathleen Maddox, when did YouTube start putting ads in the chat? Somebody said, I mean, there's a couple of times, God, what was this? Sometime over the summer, I think it was, where a few of you said ads popped up in the middle of the live stream, which threw me. Uh, and then a couple of you guys have said stuff like this about ads in the chat here lately. I don't see it, but I, I'm it has nothing to do with me. I'm telling you that right now. I don't as much as people say there's too many ads in the videos. I don't control that. Okay, that's YouTube. They give us this little smart little thing. Oh, you can put ads in, or you can take ads out, and stuff like that. They don't do it because I'll go on my phone and it's like, okay, I've got no ad. I took out every ad out of the video, and sure enough, there's ads showing up. So they just put them back in. They want to make us think like we have some control over it, but we don't. Scott Elder, do I worry about pollinators this fall with the cooler weather? Thinking about May peas. See, and that's hard to answer because it depends on where you are. Now, for me, I mean, I live in the woods. There's butterflies and bees, and I mean, maybe not. I mean, I'm not seeing honeybees or some stuff like that, but God knows I'll see enough of the hornets or the wasps. I know they're not pollinators, but I'm not getting up close and personal when I'm seeing something buzzing around, going, "Are you a honeybee or are you a wood bee?" I'm not getting that close. Always go do your things. Butterflies, I can tell. At least butterflies around here, I've got boatloads of them. Uh, but again, we've planted butterfly bushes. I've planted flowers to attract pollinators for my vegetables as well, so that helps. Uh, but that's a hard question to answer because where I live versus, let's say, somebody in central Illinois, where it's cornfields as far as you can see, that's going to be a total different animal. I'm not worried about it. H. The lights in Charlotte should be having a brownout in short order when that monster is sent to the ultimate judge for his appeal. Short order is when? 2057? You know, again, this guy is what I say is when he was 34 years old. He's been in and out of jail 14 times. He's done a 5-year prison stint. He's been diagnosed as a schizophrenic, and some judge let him out on a desk ticket, on a promise to return to his court hearing for his last crime. Right. The biggest problem we have with the legal system right now is the legal system, right? Is that prosecutors are too lazy to prosecute, and judges are, oh, well, he was having a bad day when he killed 2 people. We'll let him go. I saw a story this morning about some, again, African immigrant who raped a 9-year-old and was sentenced to 18 months in prison. You're kidding me, right? I mean, castration and death penalty sounds good to me. Rusty pair of garden shears and a rope. But yeah, I mean, these judges need to start being held accountable. I mean, again, we'll talk about Mamdani again. His point speech he made either yesterday or this morning about one of the things that he thinks the problem is in New York is that they incarcerate too many people. You want to let criminals out. Oh, that'll do wonderful for the city. Annie, hi. Can you give us an update on the situation in Tennessee and North Carolina after the hurricane last year? News doesn't say anything about it anymore. If Diane's in here, Diane's going to know. She's usually in here, so Diane's probably in here. Diane, if you could chime in with something to answer this question, because you live at basically ground zero. Newport, Greenville, everything like that. That's, what was it, an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes east of me. The hurricane didn't hit where I was. The devastation wasn't here. When we were driving back and forth every day, I mean, it was a road trip to go. Uh, I mean, I was filling up the truck with gas every other day. But I I'm not out there, so I can't see what's going on as much. Like I said, I mean, Diane lives out there, so if she could post something in here to let everybody know what things look like, she's going to have much better information than I do. Brenda Hall McDonald, do I know how to propagate Kosa dogwoods from seeds? No. Just tried the fruit. It's delicious and the flowers are beautiful. I have no idea what a Kosa dogwood, I'm assuming it's something tree. Never heard of Kosa. So, or Kusa, however you pronounce it. No, no clue on that one. But again, as I've said many times, I'm not the arborist. I mean, the vegetables and stuff like that, yeah, I've got probably more answers than a lot of people. The fruit trees and stuff like that, that's not me. Okay. I'm the same as a lot of people. It's like, okay, I go to the nursery, I dig a hole, I fertilize it, I put the plant in there, let the tree do its thing, and then spray it for bugs or spray it for fungicide or whatever that is. But no, I'm not the one who's out grafting trees and doing, trying to propagate woody plants. No, I'd say hardwoods, but there we go. I knew it was going to shoot to the bottom. Let's go back here. All right. H again. As long as your friend doesn't give you a call and say, "Alas, Babylon," we should be able to survive whatever is coming. Yeah, that would be a good point. If I get that text, there will probably be a real quick video going, guys, start filling sandbags. Scott T, water filter question, Berkey or any other option? Uh, this one is up to you. We talked about this, maybe about a month ago, and I said, I mean, I've got one of these travel Berkeys. It's still in the box. I don't use it. It's there as prep supplies. Uh, what there was an issue, and I don't know if it's been resolved. I know a couple of you guys said there were knockoff filters for the Berkeys that were out because there was a problem with Berkey filters. There's some people. What is it? I always want to say it's Alexa Pure, but it's not. There's another big water filter company that's gravity fed, like Berkey is, that a lot of other people swear by. And then the one I've showed you is the Idaho one, but that one is electric, and even though it's a charcoal filtered reverse osmosis, that thing I think is great. Uh, the downside is, of course, it's electric, and so you have to have some sort of power bank to run that off of in any sort of SHTF. But that's the one I did a couple of years ago. Uh, that was that was the one I did a couple of years ago, right before the Hawaii fires, and that was where I went and got water out of the pond, and we filtered the pond water, and you saw me drink the pond water, which was crystal clear when it was done. It went from greenish yellow to crystal clear. But those were the ones that we donated, what, 15, 18 of those water filters to the folks in Hawaii when the Maui fires were going on. Uh, I can't really say I recommend anything. I don't think any of them are bad. Just it depends on what fits your need. I mean, even with the Berkeys, you can buy different sizes of them. It depends on what fits your need. I mean, you're not going to go wrong with any of them. The lamb is the light. Sorry, it's trying to read this after a while. Hey guys, put away as much cash as you can in small bills. When Helene hit, after a while, we could only get out. No one had electricity and only taking cash. You'd be really glad you did. I'm going to, anybody that's watched this channel knows me very well. 6 months worth of your bills in cash in the house. That's it. Not in the bank account, not in the safe deposit box, in the safe, in the house, somewhere where you have instant access to. Because just like you saw, what, 18 months ago in Lebanon or whatever, where the banks all said, we're closed. That's it. You're going, crap, what do I do? I need to pay a bill. Okay, maybe, right? But I need to buy something. And like you said, if no one has electricity, the credit cards don't work. All right. Your debit card doesn't work. You need to have cash. And again, I I still stick to the premise of 6 months worth of cash. I told you about an email I got from somebody the other day who said they were in IT and it took them 6 months to find a job. And they said, thank God they had money put back and food put back and everything. So that was one less stress because you're already stressing out not having a job. Imagine how much stress you got. I don't have a job and now I'm late in my rent, or now, oh my God, I'm 2 months behind in my mortgage, or they're going to shut off the electricity, or they're going to repo my car. You can do stuff to reduce the pain. And I mean, even if it means putting $20 a week in a mason jar until you can get that built up, do it. I mean, I remember this goes back 25 years now at this point, and that was exactly what my ex-wife and I did. We had a mason jar on the top of the refrigerator, and every day I put a $5 bill in it. Every day, a $5 bill went in there, and that was it. And we just let it build up and build up and build up, and eventually I'd take it to the bank and I'd change it for hundreds. But it was, it became almost a challenge. You get $5, you put $5 in. We don't have $5. No, we got to go find $5 somehow. And if that meant, okay, I've got to go take tin cans in to go get that five. And you'd be amazed once you start building that habit, how important it becomes to you. And then once it becomes that important, and then you start looking at, holy crap, honey, we've got $500 in here or whatever. Then it's like, how do we get it to 1,000? It's no different than the way that you guys started prepping when it was like you went out and you bought your first 10-pound bag of rice. And then it was, okay, how long is it going to take me to get 100 pounds of rice? I can go do that quick. Okay, now I need the beans. Well, now I want to buy the canned goods. Now I need to buy the bandages. And it's like, you get consumed with it. It's like, okay, this is a good thing. I'm building something forward. And now most of you are probably like me, where it's like, honey, I need bandages. Let me run, as we jokingly call it here, the store. Okay. Let me run to the store real quick. You know, here's your box of bandages. Here's your 5 rolls of toilet paper to put under the sink in this bathroom, whatever, because it's all here. We were at the store Thursday, I think it was Thursday or Friday, one of the two. And they had a sale on toothpaste for $1.99 a tube. I bought 10 of them. $20 in toothpaste. Yeah. When a tube of toothpaste is usually $5 and I got it for $2, I got enough toothpaste to last us for a couple of years at this point. It's not like toothpaste goes bad. Uh, Cat just received my second Opus 600 today. I cannot do a grand at a time, but waiting for sales on small ones is better than nothing. So I can run lights or charge phones in 2 bedrooms. Plan and save. There you go. And you're doing exactly what we did. You buy them as you can. If that's what your goal is, it's like, hey, I need to run lights in this room. Okay, 600-watt generators can do fine. You put in some of these LED bulbs. I'm not getting into the argument on LED bulbs and incandescents. Okay, that's not my point here. But the LED bulbs that use 10 or 11 watts per bulb, and you go, this thing's 600 watt. watts. Hmm, okay. I can run this light bulb for 60 hours before that generator's done. Okay. How many hours a day do you have lights on in the house? 4 or 5? All right. I can run before this generator needs to be wound down. Nah, I get 10 or 12 days. Okay, I'm good. Not a bad deal. And in your case, if that's what you're doing, okay, I've got a little generator in this room and I've got a little generator in that room, and that's all I need. As opposed to having one big generator. This is what I was saying before. What are you trying to do with it? You don't need to go buy a 3,500 watt generator if the only thing you're going to run off of it is the nightstand light in your bedroom. You know, it's not worth it, not worth the money. You get the smaller ones. So, yeah, you're doing it correctly, in my opinion, the way my logical brain thinks. Seriously, thoughts on AI expansion and data centers sucking up resources in every state? I've talked about this a couple of times. The electricity is just unbelievable. And talk to anybody in New Jersey about electricity costs, or pretty much anybody up in the Northeast, how electricity costs are going up. And they go, well, we use a lot of electricity. We're paying all these electric bills. Yeah, but there's a supply and demand issue. And when demand goes up, supply goes down, the price goes up for everybody. So I don't care if that AI data center is paying astronomical bills. They're also causing the rest of our bills to go up. And no offense, but I pretty much tell everybody that I think there's not a single person in the country is going to go, my electricity bill's too low and I pay more. We're all feeling the pinch of all of this. Hellflower, do I see what's going on in Poland right now? Uh, if there's something new, no, I have not. Uh, no, I'll check it out after we're done here in a couple of minutes. If there's something new in the news there. That tells you how far I'm behind. There's a whole bunch of people talking about the bands. I talked about that half an hour ago. Scotty and Deanne, what's my favorite song? Uh, it depends on the genre. If you want to talk about my favorite rock song, it's certainly Thunderstruck by AC/DC. I mean, that one gets cranked up full blast every time I hear it. Uh, you get into country. God, I would say this: if you got into country music, it absolutely has to be something by Toby Keith. Uh, but I could pick half a dozen of his songs that could go there. If you go to 1970s type pop music, uh, I've got to say something by ABBA, because I'm sorry, you can talk about Linda Ronstadt or anybody like this. Personal opinion, the ladies in ABBA had the most beautiful voice ever in music. Uh, so, yeah, it depends on the genre. Trying to get through as many as I can. Uh, Dwayne Bouchard, I have a copy of the Immigrant Song is sung by Hawkins. I have no idea who Hawkins is. Let's see. Vicky Savage, there's truth in this. Some are born with crooked bones or teeth. Some are born with crooked souls. There's a lot of truth in that sentence. Steve Sams, people's hearts and minds appear to be hardened to the truth. It appears almost biblical in nature. Yeah, because you're right. Because there are so many people out there that are validating the lies. Transgenderism, perfect. This is, you can be a boy or a girl. No, you can't. God decided that. Your DNA says that. You can't change that. We're going to go back to Rachel Dolezal. Remember her? I mean, I'm trans race. No, sorry, you can't change that. Your DNA is your DNA, and it's not going to be changed. Period. Uh, Brenda Penta, happy birthday. All 60s, 70s, 80s, the best. Adam Sandler's birthday, the same as yours. Funny man from, that's right, I forgot. Adam Sandler's birthday is September 4th. I forgot that. Okay, I got time for one more real quick. Denise Hitt, what do I think should happen to church leaders who help the illegals? They should have their 503C removed. And I'm of the opinion that anybody that helps the illegals should be charged as an accessory to a crime and jailed as such. I don't care if you're a church leader. I don't care if you're that judge in Milwaukee. I don't care if you're a politician. If you're helping somebody commit a crime, you're an accessory. The end. And on that, it's 9 o'clock. Angry Prepper will be doing his deal, I believe. We'll see y'all in the morning. Pinball out.